Broadcasting live from the Vegas Video Network studios, just steps from the Las Vegas Strip, it's Talktails with Chris Phillips. Coming up on today's show, band leader and Vegas favorite, Lon Bronson. And now a man whose pillows are made from the Purple Crown Royal velvet bags, Mr. Chris Phillips.
Hey. Cheers. Well, thank you, my friends, or acquaintances. We are so happy to have you guys, and welcome once again to the most exciting city in the world. We are coming to you live from Las Vegas. This is the Vegas Video Network studios. My name is Chris Phillips, and we are watching everybody's new favorite show, sweeping the world on the internet, called Talktails. And as the name implies, it's a chance that I love once a week on Monday afternoons to come in and work out my dirty laundry and talk about my personal problems and have way too many cocktails and discuss my favorite topic, Las Vegas, with some of the people who make this what it is. It's kind of a collection of people that literally come together and are crazy enough to live here and I guess make this what they like to refer to as the entertainment capital of the world. And before we get started, I'd like you to know, as always, you can write to us at our email address, which is talktails@vegasvideonetwork.com if you have any questions or comments or complaints, which is usually the case. And this is such an exciting show for me today because not only do we have one of the most renowned band leader musicians in town with us, but without question one of my dearest friends and drinking buddies. I came here 5 years ago from Scottsdale, Arizona, and I had a dream, and that was to kind of keep what I like to refer to as the maverick spirit of Las Vegas alive. And to do that, I had this idea to put together a show that was kind of like doing the songs that are kind of like the soundtrack of the city. Music that is, I guess, in the big band category of music, where you have a big horn section and 18 people on stage and playing real music. And what I have come to find is that when I came out here, that is kind of a dying art. There are not many bands left. There are not many orchestras at all. Everything has gone to pre-recorded music, or backing tracks as they call it. And when I came out here, I had to seek out real musicians. And to do that, everybody in town said there's one guy that you need to speak to. He is kind of the guru, the spokesman, so to speak, of all the musicians here in town. He has been performing and now currently, I think, holds the title for being in the longest-running band in Las Vegas history. He is a powerhouse figure in the musicians community here in Las Vegas. He's been working the scene, as I said, for over 20 years. He currently can be seen as the trumpet player in the Rat Pack is Back show. He also has his own show and band that performs every other Thursday out at the Ovation Showroom at Green Valley Ranch. The band is called the Lon Bronson All-Star Band. And guess who we have with us? Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, Lon Bronson.
Hey!
What do you think of that?
Where's my booze? Somebody mentioned something about booze. What's...
You know, this is really nice because I get a text earlier today. And I thought, oh, Lon's concerned about what time should I get there, or where exactly is the studio. I have a specific kind of alcohol I want, or I'm not showing up.
Not exactly phrased that way.
You're one of 2 guests out of 11 guests that has requested their own booze. Nathan Burton had a special kind of vodka he wanted.
I'm in good company.
You are. So Lon, my friend here, requested some red wine. And because you and I are both Las Vegans, we both believe in the spirit of Vegas and supporting Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
That usually means that we take trips out to our neighboring city, Pahrump, for various reasons.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And if you live in Vegas, you know why. There is one thing you can't get in Clark County, and that's
not legally.
Not legally. So I was in Whole Foods today, and I did not know that Pahrump had a vineyard.
Oh, yes.
Pahrump Valley Winery.
Yes. It's quite nice, actually.
I did not know that.
I have had that before.
I'm just wondering who is stomping on the grapes.
It might,
And if their feet are clean.
I'm pretty sure it's Gary Hypes because he's on the way to Pahrump. So I think that's his gig now.
Well, I'll tell you something. I am proud to have a glass of wine with you. I'm not a wine drinker. I like Crown Royal, as you may or may not know, being on stage with me on many, many drunken occasions. But today, I might actually taste your local favorite here from the Pahrump Valley Winery.
You're also a wine steward. You're multi-talented.
Well, you know, I have very few talents, and if that's one of them, then I'm proud to have you here. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely Gary Hypes.
That's good. Richard Hypes.
I could smell it anywhere.
Well, as I said, when I came to town, I needed to put a band together. I needed to get the best musicians in town. Everybody said, you got to talk to Lon Bronson. And whereas some of the guests, I should say some of the entertainers here in town have established kind of a brand or a name for themselves nationally or internationally, you are without question, I guess, what you might consider locally as a legend, kind of an icon in these parts, which usually implies that you're older than hell.
That, and I know where you're going with this. If you go past the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, who the hell is Lon Bronson? Basically.
Same with me, and that's why I can share in that.
But you've got your Arizona contingency, right?
Within a 5-mile square radius, people may know who we are. But in these here parts, you are a legend, my friend. You have been successfully not only performing in, but heading up, leading a band that has been playing for over 20 years.
Yes, we celebrated 20 this year.
Which is incredible. It's a band that consists of some of the finest musicians in town. They all are playing in, you know, some of the big shows here in town. You've had numerous celebrity guests over the years. How do you keep a band together of that caliber, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, are some of the same original musicians you've had since the very beginning? How do you keep that going?
You know what? It is about...
Who cares about live music? What is this?
Well, who cares about live music? That's an easy answer. Sadly, it's almost all come down to other musicians.
Right.
So really the hook now is that these cats want to play with me because they want to play. And they want to play the type of music that we're doing, which is, you know, pretty esoteric. It's pretty off the beaten track as far as the choices of music we do. So it's certainly nothing that all of us individually have to do in our quote-unquote jobs, which would be like for me playing the Rat Pack. If I have to play Come Fly With Me again, I'm, you know, hello.
I'm assuming that's something as you refer to as a labor of love.
Yes, absolutely. Always has been. And kind of like with Vintage Vegas, definitely not a monetary thing. No one's ever made money with this band, ever. So you're right, keeping like 60, 70% of the same guys for 20 years.
And how many guys do you have up there on stage with you? Because that's almost unheard of these days, to have that size of a band.
The band ebbs and flows around 14. And plus, you know, I've got a dancer, Amy. So we've got, you know, we've got the whole shebang going on up there.
Well, you guys have a huge local following.
We do.
Whenever you perform. And what's interesting about your particular band is that it's not just consisting of some of the best musicians in town, but you're able to somehow lure in and incorporate celebrities into your show over the years. I know that you started back, if I'm not mistaken, out of the Riviera, and the Le Bistro Theater was where you really became a big deal for, what, 13, 14 years?
We opened the Le Bistro Lounge.
That's in the Riviera.
The Le Bistro Theater came after we left. That's when they put the glass up and decided, oh, let's turn this into a theater and sell tickets. Right. Obviously a disaster. But as far as opening the lounge, 1990, it's a funny story, actually. Sam DiStefano was the entertainment director there. He actually preceded Steve Sciarippa, another pal of ours, and, you know, from Sopranos fame. Of course. And the story goes is that I was working there as a production manager for Crazy Girls and Lacage.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I was production manager over at the Riv for like a decade, long time. Did a lot of great headliner acts as well as Crazy Girls and Lacage. And anyway, they're building this brand new lounge because in 1990 they got a hold of a little bit of money. This is probably before their first or second bankruptcy, I'm not sure. In any case, they got enough money to build that whole Le Bistro end of the casino, and they're like, we're going to build a slammin' lounge like the old days. It's going to be right in the center of the gaming. It's going to be open. There's going to be a half-circle bar. It's going to be the best place in town, you know, to see bands. And so I got Sam DiStefano, the entertainment director at the time, on the phone. I said, Sam, I want to do an all-star band, laid out the whole format I'm still doing 20 years later. These are all guys that play in the production shows, and for the headliners in town, we're just going to get together for cheap, 1 o'clock in the morning on a Monday night, technically Tuesday morning, and we're going to play for 90 minutes, and the place is going to be packed. Well, Sam laughed for about 5 minutes continuously.
Sure.
Yeah. Are you kidding? Long story short is I basically had to blackmail him into letting me do it. I said, let me do it this one time. You'll see what I'm talking about. And he's like, Lon, it's not going to work. You're crazy. No one's going to come out at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. Forget it. Disaster. No way. So, of course, it was jammed. You couldn't get near the place the first Monday night we did. That's when everybody had 2 shows.
See, now
remember?
That's the way it used to be.
Everyone had 2 shows, so everyone was getting done at midnight. So 1 a.m. was perfect. And on an off night, on a non-weekend night, it was just everything just worked perfectly. Right place, right time. You know what I'm saying?
And you created the ultimate, what they refer to as a hang.
Yes. So it became dancers, comics, musicians. Everybody's coming out after their second show at midnight to just relax, have a few cocktails, see the band, see a great band, but basically just to hang. You're right.
So I was alluding to earlier, because of this format that you created and the time slot in which you did it, and the fact that it was kind of a jam band where anything goes, you were able to bring in these big-name celebrities to come up on stage and perform with you, joke around. You have a rather illustrious list of names over the years that have joined you, I noticed.
Oh, yeah.
Who are some of your favorites that has joined you on stage, I guess,
well,
over time?
I did get this fellow by the name of Chris Phillips once. And I'm
How can you get bigger than that?
I'm hoping to get him back someday. I'm just,
Well, if you get this Pahrump wine in me, I might do anything. No, I found this interesting. Obviously, you're good friends with Drew Carey.
Oh, yeah. Well, Drew really was a big supporter early on. And the cool thing about Drew is that he actually, it's another, I find, funny story. He taps me on the shoulder one night early on, like I'm going to say 91, 92. This is before he had the Drew Carey show on ABC.
Right.
Now, he was somewhat famous. I think he was a runner-up on the talent show with Star Search. And he had done Carson, but he hadn't made the deal, I don't think, with the Drew Carey show on ABC yet. So he just very sheepishly taps me on the shoulder and goes, hey, I'm a big fan of yours. I've been coming to see you for years, and I just want to let you know I want to do a TV special, and I want you guys to be on it. And I'm like, are you kidding? Of course I know who you are, And I'm thinking, yeah, you're going to put me on a TV show. Very nice of you, but I really doubt that's ever going to happen. So fast forward a couple of years, and one day the phone rings. Hey, Lon, it's Drew. I got a deal for a thing called Mr. Vegas on HBO, and we're going to shoot it here at the Hard Rock, and I want you guys to be the band all the way through it, and I want you to do a cameo and do a sketch with me. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Cool.
So, and the reason that's foremost in my mind, I guess it just re-aired a couple of weeks ago on HBO. Mr. Vegas, all night Vegas party starring Drew Carey. Just re-aired on HBO a couple of weeks ago.
I did not know that. Congratulations. Yeah. Well, as a result of that, you've had David Cassidy and Joe Pesci.
That's how I met David Cassidy.
Really?
Then I became David's MD for like 7 very long years.
Is this when he had his show down the street, David Cassidy? As his MD?
I was the MD for both the shows. The original fake Rat Pack,
right,
which was at the DI, called The Rat Pack is Back. And then he also had a show called At the Copa,
yes,
which was then called the Copa Room at the Rio,
right,
which is now the Crown Room, which ironically is where the current Rat Pack is back and
performing.
And I'm back in the same room. It's wild.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Now, is it true?
Except no David.
Yeah, is it true you had Martin Scorsese?
Well, no, Martin Scorsese used to, actually, I shouldn't say used to. He filmed, as you know, Casino at the Riv. And he came and saw us. Did I get him up on stage?
What an honor. Wow.
Because there's also the delineation between a lot of stars that would come and sit and watch,
right,
who I couldn't blackmail into coming up on stage. Because honestly, what would Scorsese do?
I heard he plays a mean mouth organ.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave that alone.
No, harmonica. Depends on what part of the country you're from.
What? Are you sure you're not thinking of Pesci?
It's like tomato and tomato.
Because Pesci actually plays.
Really?
Joe Pesci plays great guitar, and I believe he plays harp too. But another person who physically not on stage.
And another person who does was Huey Lewis, who I think you may have.
Yes, Huey Lewis too.
If we're going to stay on the harmonica train.
But no, what I was going to say is, I got to meet Scorsese during the filming of Casino, and he came in to see the band. But physically, I didn't get him up there. There's quite a few actually that I tried to get up there, and they kind of they wouldn't have it. Which is kind of, I could do a whole book on just that, on the people I tried to get up on stage.
Well, one of the people that I believe you tried to get on stage and is very upset to this day is in what we call our live chat room. And they have a question for you. Scott?
We had a couple. Nice crowd here in the live chat.
Push.
Maya wants to know, is Vegas entertainment looked down upon by other performing arts city like L.A., New York, etc.?
Yeah, actually, I think it is. I really do. I think, well, Los Angeles and New York would look down upon us. I'm not sure if, Boise, Idaho would, but there are definitely, you've got that vibe.
Now, why is that, considering that this is the entertainment capital of the world and the finest musicians and entertainers flock to Vegas to make it big?
True, but think about it. We've, as we were speaking off camera before the show started, all the different shows that pertain to Vegas now, they're all based on sensationalism. All the reality shows that you see about Vegas. So I think people have this mentality that anything you see in Vegas has to have that sensationalism aspect to it, and therefore it can't be taken quote unquote seriously like you would if you went to a jazz club in Midtown Manhattan. Sadly, we have no jazz here, so actually there is some of what that call-in was referring to is probably accurate. We do have a lack of actual live music culture here.
Well, speaking of that, we're going to take a short little break. When we come back, I want to talk about the fact that you have over the years, to some degree, been kind of a spokesman in the media on behalf of musicians in this town, trying to fight the casino's new approach to what works and what does not work in the lounges. And I want to discuss that because that pertains to both of us very much. Once again, folks, you're watching Talktails here on the Vegas Video Network. I'm Chris Phillips, and today we have my very dear friend and alcoholic buddy, Lon Bronson. We'll be back in a minute.
Let me know when I'm live. Hi everybody, this is Bridget Magnus of Getting Real Estate in Vegas, and you are watching the Vegas Video Network.
Well, hi to my friends, and once again, welcome to Las Vegas, and you're watching Talktails. I am sitting here with Lon Bronson, who has been one of the most, renowned and sought after, not only trumpet players, but band directors, producers, arrangers, and several other titles that I'm sure that you hold. And one of the things that we were talking about right before we went to the break is that you're kind of known also in this town for being someone who's been brave enough to step up to the mic, so to speak, and get on your little soapbox like I tend to, and preach the fact that what is happening to live music in this town. When is the evolution starting to take place in your estimate? How many years ago where you started seeing the transition in the lounges going from live music to either DJs or into some other format? And why did that happen? Well, what the hell happened to live music?
As you know, this is my standard rant, so thanks for the slow pitch. Well, I'll tell you what, I came to town in '85, and I think perhaps because of the post-Rat Pack aura that probably Vegas still had, even in the mid-'80s, I thought I'd get off the plane and walk into any casino, and I'd see a full 17-piece big band.
Sure.
Like you were talking about, in your opening monologue. And I'm thinking, all right, where do I go? And I walk around, there's nothing. Now, I thought it was bad in '85. The bands that were playing then, which there were bands, and almost every casino had one or two open lounges. the bands that were playing were great, but they were all top 40. So, you know.
And it'd even be continuous through the day. You could see bands during the day, the night.
They'd start with a duo maybe earlier in the day, and they transition to bands at night, and the bands would go till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Sure, I remember.
Now, that wasn't really my cup of tea because I'm walking in and they're doing like Miami Sound Machine, and, you know, I'm like, okay, but the bands were all good, and there was entertainment. I'm thinking, wow.
And it was putting musicians to work.
Yeah, which because at the time in '85, I'm thinking, wow, maybe this will come back around in a few years. I'm thinking that in '85. I had no idea it was going to be nothing but a downward spiral to almost nothingness, which is where we're at now.
You're hard-pressed to walk into a casino and even find a venue that has live music, let alone have a band in there.
The last major lounge in town was probably the Bellagio, Fontana, and now it's a nightclub, right?
They're shutting it down and turning it into an ultra lounge. Isn't that nice?
And that was probably the last high-profile lounge left in town. I'm talking on the Strip.
Sure.
So what's happened is we've transitioned to almost always stations properties.
The local casinos.
The locals casinos, and they're really the only ones that are pursuing what we call lounge, you know, for lack of a better term, free entertainment.
Well, as you know, I've been out here 5 years. My dream was to come to perform on the Strip. And 5 years later, I have found that the overwhelming success for live music in this town is on the outskirts.
Yeah.
And which we have stayed now consistently, and as you have.
Right. We've both found our niche, you know, doing.
And it works. And we love it.
Well, Red Rock is gorgeous. Green Valley Ranch, gorgeous. Absolutely. I mean, you can't find anything close to those rooms on the Strip. No. But how sad is that?
It's very sad.
If you can't find a room.
Do you see the pendulum eventually swinging back? Or has the youth and the culture of today dismissed live music?
I mean, look, even after a couple glasses of wine, I can't even be optimistic. I'm sorry. I gotta be honest with you. I see the same trend that I saw the beginnings of in '85 continuing. I think there's going to be even less and less live entertainment because, especially now, the absolute last nail in the coffin was the nightclub, or whatever we're referring to as the ultra lounge nightclubs.
Exactly. Well, I think somebody else may share your opinion. Scott, I believe we have a few more questions in the live chat room.
We do. FD wants to know, given the current economy here, what do you guys see? You've kind of touched upon this, but what do you all see as the Vegas entertainment trend? If it's not the live music thing, is it something else? Do you think you're going to be able to bring the live music thing back so it becomes kind of what it was before?
Can I field this one?
That's for you.
It's for you.
Doesn't say Lon Bronson show. I just thought I'd ask.
This is all about you today.
Okay, all right. Well, actually, I think where entertainment's heading is basically either DJs or you see a lot because of the popularity, burgeoning popularity of reality TV. I think where entertainment's going is everyone wants to be part of the show.
Yes.
Everyone wants to be in entertainment. So it's dumbed it down to the point where you'll sit there and, you know, watch a show for an hour about the Housewives of New Jersey or whatever the hell it's called, you know? So sadly, I kind of see like entertainment heading in that direction where everyone expects to be in the show or they won't watch the show. As ridiculous as that seems, that's what I see.
Well, see, you're a dying breed.
Absolutely, I'm a dinosaur.
And you know,
dinosaur, brother.
You know, I noticed you have the Beatles on your shirt, which I thought was 2 of the 3 Pep Boys. At first, I thought it was Manny Moe and where's Jack over here? But
well, Ringo, you can never see. He's always like someplace else.
But you know, I think there is a group of people in this town, particularly in the musician community, who still desire to not only hear great live music, but to be entertained when they go out late at night.
Right.
One of the things that I'm most sore about is that people, especially in our age bracket, they come to town. It's 10 o'clock. You've had dinner. Maybe you've even seen a showroom show of some sort. You're not really wanting to go to the nightclubs that are too young and too expensive and too loud and too late.
Obnoxious. Yeah.
There's nothing to do in this town at 10:30. Wouldn't that be the perfect slot for a really fun, free live lounge show where you could go and socialize and mingle and see some great entertainment? What are casinos thinking?
Well, there's that as well as the cutoff for 10 o'clock, irrationally, is great food. Used to be, what happened to Vegas being 24/7?
Right.
I mean, again in '85 when I came here, I was like, wow, every restaurant will be gourmet and it'll be open until 5 in the morning. At the time, there was only like 2 or 3 places that would stay open that late. Well, now there's 0 places. You can't go anywhere and get like a gourmet meal at, forget 5 a.m., say like midnight.
Sure.
Is that asking too much? In Sin City, you can't get a decent meal.
Well, you feel like you're back in your hometown in New Hampshire, is where I believe you were
pretty much
raised, correct?
Keene, New Hampshire, yeah.
Speaking of which, going back to your youth, how does one, as a kid, get inspired to be a trumpet player?
Well,
who were your inspirations that led you to?
You're gonna love this.
My gosh,
you're gonna love this. The last thing I wanted to be was a trumpet
I thought you
player.
wanted to be an astronaut or a doctor or a football player.
No, I wanted to be in the Beatles. Or the Monkees, but as what? A drummer. I wanted to be a drummer.
Oh, yes.
I am a frustrated drummer. Does this sound familiar?
It does.
And honestly, the story goes that my parents didn't have enough money to buy me a drum set. They had a leftover trumpet from my brother, and they basically just said, yeah, right, you want to play drums? Here, see what you can do with this. They handed me a trumpet, and, once you get off on that path, that was that. So I kind of...
So were you in the high school band?
Oh, absolutely. I was... first chair, New Hampshire All-State, and all that stuff.
So, in your school, did the trumpet players get chicks? Really?
Well, we're talking about in the late 1940s, so yeah. Big bands were all the rage, and I was super popular.
You're playing for the Andrews Sisters.
No, I tell you what,
ride.
it was very tough because we had a really, really advanced jazz band for high school level in a little town in New Hampshire. And yeah, most of my high school class had no idea what we were talking about. We talked about Buddy Rich and Woody Herman.
Sure.
It was definitely falling on deaf ears because like any other high school, everybody wanted to be a cheerleader or a football player. And, there was this very small cadre of actually very talented musicians that came out of this tiny little town in New Hampshire. I have no idea what was in the water, but a guy like 1 year ahead of me ended up being... Brian Wilson's MD for the Smile Tour from the Beach Boys. And, it's an amazing thing. Another sax player, a friend of mine, Scott Mullett, he ended up playing with a lot of famous bands. And
well, speaking of playing with famous people, over the years, you have played with a few famous names yourself, and I know that you've done things with Celine Dion, if I'm not mistaken, David Foster, Dionne Warwick, and I know you had some great years with Wayne Newton.
No, Wayne, I was never in Wayne's band.
You weren't?
No. But I got a great David Foster story, if you want to hear that.
You played with Diana Ross, too, didn't you?
Well, it's the same story, actually. Check this out for a birthday party. If you're gonna throw a birthday bash, right? It's a one-off birthday bash we did at Caesar's Palace a few years back. David Foster is the MC/MD, musical director, and there are 3 acts, and this is all for a party of 40, maybe 45 friends of the CEO of BP, British Petroleum. Okay, private birthday party.
Oh my goodness.
Here are the 3 acts that David Foster emceed. First act was Eddie Money. He did like 40 minutes. Second act was Don Henley.
Oh, wow.
And the closer that I was lucky enough to play in the horn section under David's baton, Diana Ross.
Not bad.
That's one party.
What?
Hello.
Wow.
How was your last birthday party? I think it was like that. Right? I mean, is that amazing? But
wow.
I don't want to be ripping Vegas all the time because honestly, in what other town could something like that happen and that I could be part of?
No,
you know what
absolutely.
I'm saying? So there's positives for Vegas. I get bitter with the rant about live music only because you want to grab the kids that are going to these nightclubs and just strangle them and say, wait, there's something else. You don't have to be dropping $2,000 to basically sit and listen to pre-recorded disco music, which is essentially, if it's not techno, it's essentially the same crap we listened to in the 70s.
Well, now they're, like you say, they're not just dropping money, they're dropping X and...
yeah, but I mean,
and
honestly...
it's all about feeling and touching.
Did you have $2,000 to drop in a night when you were like in your early 20s? I didn't. I don't know how these kids are doing it.
I see it, I'm somebody who does go to the clubs, and I do get the allure of what it's all about. But that lasts for about 10 minutes. And then you're like, what else have you got for me?
Right.
And there's nothing to do. There's nothing that stimulates you, and you leave with no substance. All you leave with is STDs.
And yeah, exactly. If you're lucky. So that part, I understand all that, right? Why do they come back and do it again? That's what I don't get.
Well,
because they're coming back. I mean, everyone keeps building more lounges, and it keeps getting more popular. And then conversely, the live music keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until there's literally nothing left now.
Well, I'll tell you, you and I have had the good fortune of working together on various projects over the years. You've been kind enough to even be my conductor of my orchestra in my Vintage Vegas band, and you have been responsible for bringing to the table some of the finest musicians to my show, one of which is a very dear friend of ours who I want to talk about. His name is Jeff Jordan. He's a saxophone player. He's not only one of the greatest musicians, but one of the greatest guys in town as well.
Without a doubt.
He had some misfortune a couple weeks ago with some health issues.
Yes. Very serious. Life-threatening. He actually almost, just so you know, if he hadn't made it to the emergency room, an hour later,
he may not be with us.
Game over.
Well, as a result of that, he's in a little bit of financial difficulty, as we know. And I want to say thank you to you for organizing and creating a benefit that is going to be taking place this weekend. And when we come back, I'd like to have Lon Bronson talk to you about what we might be able to do to help out our friend Jeff Jordan. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Scott Pritchard from Let's Bet. You're watching the Vegas Video Network. It's Vegas Video Network, not .com. You're not using this one, right? Don't you dare use this one.
You're making me work.
Well, welcome back to our drinking party here on Talktails. I'm Chris Phillips, and I'm sitting with Lon Bronson, who is something of a legend in these here parts, certainly in the musicians community. And speaking of musicians, we had a dear friend, a saxophone player, a friend of ours named Jeff Jordan, who has had some misfortune the last couple of weeks with some health issues, as I discussed. And Lon Bronson has been cool enough to step up to the plate to organize a benefit on his behalf to kind of see him through the next couple months until he gets back on his feet and working again. And would you just tell us a little bit about what you've put together and how people can help out if you would?
Jeff's plight is not unlike a lot of, what I call the few working musicians in the trenches left in Vegas. And most of us don't have insurance, health insurance. So if something like this happens, which it does from time to time, sadly, there's no net. What do you do? Right. I mean, this guy really needs our help, and as well as the fact that he's a great guy and a great musician. So a lot of his friends got together. We kicked it around a little bit. And we said, we should really do a concert, a benefit, to help him out. And it was amazing the response we got. We almost immediately got a lot of response. And it's not just me. I've got a lot of people that I'm working with, Michelle Johnson, Darlene Ryan, Adam Hoffman's co-producing it with me. And long story short is, it's this coming Sunday, July 31st, at Ovation, 4 p.m.
In Green Valley Ranch.
Green Valley Ranch, Ovation. Again, in my opinion, the best room in town. You might think Red Rock is, but my opinion is Ovation.
It's a gorgeous showroom.
It really is. To see a live show, it's incredible. With the video and everything. We're going to do a show that's headlining, of all people, Michael Grimm.
Oh, yes. The winner of America's Got Talent.
Last year's winner.
Oh, Mr. Big Shot.
Yes, Mr. Big Shot. And as you know, he got a record deal.
Sony Records?
Sony Records. The release came out, I think, last month. And
very impressive.
So
you wrangled him in there to help out?
He's made it. He's the guy. He's another guy from the trenches in here.
See, he's part of the fabric of the community. He was willing to step up as you were.
So it's very cool. We got a hold of him, and it was almost instantaneous. What can I do to help? We've got we've got a lot of talent. The MC is...
I heard you had to scrape the barrel for the MC.
I couldn't get Nathan Burton, so let me think. Oh, it's you.
Oh!
That's it.
Okay.
Yes, Chris has decided to...
Well, I would do anything for Jeff, and I'd do anything for you, and that goes without saying, obviously.
Hopefully we're going to have a big production number with showgirls around.
I heard that may be the case. And
I'm working on it.
Anything with showgirls, you can count me in.
I'm working on it. But
speaking of which, I think we may have a showgirl in the chat room that has a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Is that true, Scott?
Yes, this is a showgirl.
As long as it's nothing about paternity. I'll answer the question.
Then we have no more questions. I'm sorry.
All right. Well done, my friend. Well done.
No, this is a business question, which could be the same thing. When a headliner comes, a musician headliner comes in, do they bring their own band usually, or do they reach out to the local music community to work with?
That's a great question. Actually, that's something I've seen also change from '85 until now. Back in '85, when I showed up, when I fell off the turnip truck, there were a lot more headliners in town for a shorter duration. You know, like they'd come in for the weekend, and they would almost always use the local pool of musicians to do most of the band. Maybe they bring one guy, their MD. That's kind of all gone now, where most acts, it's flip-flop. Most acts are self-contained. They bring all their musicians, even at great, obviously the great expense that obviously is, putting them up and flying them in. And occasionally, sadly, not often enough, they might hire a horn section. So, like, for instance,
subcontract some guys out of
right. So I've played the Temptations, Bobby Vinton this year. I'd like to say it was like 30 acts this year, but it's more like 10. But Temptations come to town twice a year. They'll use a full horn section, and so that's great. But to answer the caller's question, almost everybody's self-contained now. Almost everybody.
So besides doing these type of projects on occasion, besides being a regular fixture with the Rat Pack is Back show at the Rio, and besides having your own band called the Lon Bronson All-Star Band out at Green Valley Ranch every other Thursday, is there a dream project that you would love to put together, be it on the Strip or off, that you've never had an opportunity to do?
Second and fourth Thursdays at Ovation.
Second and fourth
Thursdays. Not to shamelessly plug, but...
and I can tell you, it is not only a great show, but it's a great social environment with and networking with musicians and friends. Well, it's fun.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because I've seen that evolve from the original Riv days, where it was nothing but show people, to now I'm lucky enough to have a following of non-show people that come out to support us.
Appreciate what's going on.
Well, they really like the type of music I play, because there's a diversity of music. I mean, you could hear anything from Frank Zappa, obviously a lot of Tower Power, originals. And so the one thing I should point out is there is, maybe not huge, but there is a certain amount of people in Las Vegas that do want to come and hear quality live music and will come out to, Ovation at Green Valley Ranch and support me and support a few other bands in town. And that, I think, is noteworthy. We should definitely not dismiss the fact that there are people who still appreciate live music. The bad guys in this are really the corporations and the casinos that don't want to cater to these people anymore, with the exception of stations.
So it's a night off for you. You're with your wife. The kids have a sitter, and you're like, honey, let's go see a show.
Well, that's when we go to Pahrump. Are you kidding? Come on.
Oh, yes, that is my kind of entertainment Pahrump has to offer. Well,
it can be fun.
What shows would you think are worthy of mention on this time? Who would you go see? Because there's
honestly, it's a very, very short list.
That's why I asked, because I figured that there's at least a handful of people that you would consider to be fine.
First show I would go to see always, because it never gets tired, is Penn and Teller. And
Penn Jillette, which is a
good friend of mine, and another one of the stars you mentioned that over the years we've been lucky enough to get up and play with us. And I really got to say, intellectually speaking, that's by far the best show in town. I mean, if you go there, you really sit and they make you think.
Right.
Versus just, look, I don't want to slag the Cirque thing, but you kind of just sit there and it all just like flows over you, and there's no thought process involved.
No, there's that wall between them and the audience.
There is. It's just and it's basically the same show, and the clowns are hanging from the ceiling, and it's great. Okay, I'm not, great if that's what you want to spend your $180 on.
Well, we have somebody who is a cast member of Cirque du Soleil in the chat room who has a question for you. Scott, what do they have to say about Lon?
We'll be waiting in the parking lot.
The flying clown would like your address. Just wants to know where you live. That's all he asked for. and he thinks that you do well in O, about 6 inches under the water.
Underwater.
Riviera Days wants to know, how do we get bands in Vegas to stop using backing tracks? I mean, this is clearly a business question.
It's impossible for the same reason, for the same dark forces that are the corporations.
Yep.
Because, you know, the whole reason this downward spiral started was because the corporations decided they no longer wanted to spend money on lounge acts. Because if you go back to the 60s, you're talking about being able to come in and see the Count Basie band in a lounge for free. You're talking about being able to come in and see Don Rickles in a lounge for free. Because in that time period, the boys ran the town, and it was all like, we don't care what entertainment costs. We want people to come in and have a good time. We want them to eat. We want them to eat late. They're going to, you know, blow all their money at the tables. Slowly but surely, the corporation squeezed all that out until it was like, how much do we have to spend? We got to see, will the lounge make money on its own? We got to cut the band's budget.
Because every square foot of a casino
has to return a profit. No loss, only profit. So when we're in that situation, caller, obviously bands are forced. They don't want to do it. They're forced to go to background tracks because they can't afford to pay a full band, especially not a big horn band like I've got. They're going to have to go with 2 or 3 guys and have supplemental backing tracks. Do I like to hear that? No. But I can't blame the guys doing it because financially they don't have a choice.
Well, we have one more question that I want to get to because our time is almost up, but I hate to neglect those who are kind enough to be watching us live, all 4 of them. No, that's not
okay.
True. We have one more question, Scott.
Yes, first of all, your mom says hi.
Okay.
In your opinion, is there a city outside of Las Vegas that is better at supporting live music?
Actually, yeah. You know what? And it's funny, this question should come up because I just came from a town you may be aware of, little town in Arizona by the name of Prescott. Are you familiar with Prescott?
Prescott used to be the original capital of Arizona.
I just learned that last week.
I was the Grand Marshal of the Prescott Days Parade 10 years ago.
Ah. Do we have any pictures of that, or
no?
We flash a picture of you?
Very interesting. What did you do in Prescott?
Well, I happened to go down there for family reasons, and I had never been. Now, you walk into the downtown area, and there is called, what's it called? Whiskey Row. Whiskey Row. And there is just one bar after another with a live band in it.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I mean, and on top of it, they've got that little center square there where they have concerts and different events every weekend. I mean, honestly, a small community like that seems to
get it more than Vegas.
Way more.
I know.
Way more. And people seem to just eat it up, you know, with a fork and a knife. They're all like, let's go see this band. Let's go. Oh, we saw that band. Let's go see this other band. They're all into it. There's no talk of any nightclub nonsense there. I mean, it couldn't exist. And I think we create the environment, we really do here, where everyone has to go to these nightclubs because it's a lemming thing. You know, they're all following the other lemmings. Well, they went to the nightclub, so now I have to. Versus a town like Prescott where everyone I think, is too intelligent to do that.
And having the time of their life for very little money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was any covers.
No.
Come in and have a couple of beers, see a band, walk in, walk out.
Well, we're pretty much out of time, but I've been wanting to ask this question since I've known you.
Am I straight?
Are you on? Should I get you liquored up? Am I going to be able to take advantage of you? Is the question.
Well, there's no doubt about that if you employ me again. You know.
Speaking of which, we might be talking soon. And there might just be a room, just so you know, on the Strip that is willing to take that chance again. And I'm very excited to be able to talk about that in a few weeks. And
hey, you know what?
I would like to say right now on the air, would you be my conductor if that were to happen?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we've worked together.
That's the booze talking.
Yeah. No, we've worked together many times before, and it's always a gas. It really is. And we're going to have fun this Sunday.
Yes,
we're going to have a lot of fun. And I want to get the plug in if I can.
I want you to talk about it.
It's you. It's Michael Grimm. It's Lee Zimmerman and Dominic Allen. These are the people that are appearing, obviously. They could also be people I like.
She is the star of Chicago on Broadway.
Yep.
Her husband used to sing with Foreigner and has done many things.
Headliner
on
it.
Oh my gosh.
Huge headliner. And let's see who else we're going to have. We're going to have Cast the Rat Pack.
Wonderful.
Obviously, that's an easy one for me. And Michelle Johnson's gonna sing.
Incredible singer.
Yep. I'm pretty sure Marley's going to sing a tune.
Well, that's too bad. Because that usually means it's going to cost me in some way or another.
Well, that's out of my control.
No, but before we go really quick.
Sean and John,
I
the
love
tap dancers.
From the Vegas the Show.
Yep, and
They're incredible.
also from America's Got Talent last year.
Oh, they're awesome.
And Reva.
That's real
from Vegas the Show. Reva Rice is going to sing.
Oh, she can sing.
I'm telling you, we're going to have a bang-up
she's easy
show.
on the eyes, too.
Absolutely. We're going to have a killer bang-up show. Please tell your viewers to buy tickets. Stationscasinos.com. It's on sale there. Any Stations Casinos Rapid Rewards Center, or you can get a ticket at the door, again, July 31st, 4 p.m., Ovation showroom at Green Valley Ranch.
We'll all be there.
How much are the tickets?
$20. $20.
That's very appreciated by what you're doing, and I know that Jeff Jordan and his family in particularly appreciate that very much, and I know that you would do that for many of your friends, and that's why you are known as one of the coolest guys in the music scene. And again, you're known for being a band leader, an arranger, a producer, but first and foremost, you're a trumpet player.
That's true.
Now, I need to know really quick, we're over time already, but I want to know, who was your inspiration as your favorite trumpet player? Who is your trumpet guy?
Dave Perico. Come on, it's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. No, when I was growing up, Maynard Ferguson. That's the quick answer.
I was hoping you were going to say that because, believe it or not, obviously I'm not a trumpet player, but I loved Maynard Ferguson, not just because of his talent, but his attitude. It's like what Frank Sinatra brought to singing, he brought to trumpet playing.
Well, that's the thing.
Maynard Ferguson.
When you get into the jazz thing, it's one thing to watch a great jazz musician, but I like the combination of great jazz musician and showman.
Yes.
No one ever played the trumpet in a showy way like Maynard.
No.
I mean, I can't say no one, but
no,
obviously he was the king of that hill.
I was just curious. I've always wanted.
Oh no, I mean, if I could play that high, trust me, I'd be playing nothing but high notes constantly, 24 hours a day. But sadly, I wasn't blessed with that. So.
Well, let me tell you something. This has been a treat and an honor to have you on my show, and I know that within a couple weeks we're going to be doing something together on the Strip, if that's okay with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Lon Bronson, the leader and star of the Lon Bronson All-Star Band that can be found out at Green Valley Ranch in the Ovation showroom. You can also be seen in the Rat Pack is Back show at the Rio. My name is Chris Phillips, and you're watching Talktails. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please email us at talktails@vegasvideonetwork.com. We will see you next Monday at 5 o'clock, our brand new time. And thank you for watching. And until we get to meet again under intoxicated circumstances, as always, we'll see you guys later. And thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
Bye.